Bitcoin on the weekly is enough to give you the chills. If you just look at what is going on, we're going to discuss that. Cardano, as usual, doing what it does, lagging. We're going to break into the charts on ADA and talk about what it needs to do, what the bulls need to do. I want to start with Bitcoin, and then we'll pivot to ADA. When we look at this Bitcoin weekly chart, the first thing I just want to point out is, do you remember all of the headlines back in like March type of area? 4 banks collapsed. Worries about 2 others persist. Will they fall? Banks were collapsing, everybody. Do you remember this? This was not long ago. Go to the weekly chart in Bitcoin. It's a reminder of what Bitcoin was doing during that time. Here's March weekly candle for Bitcoin. Absolutely. Bitcoin just exploding. We're having a similar thing happen right now. We have other headlines in the last day, the last 1 to 2 days. Look at this. And I've been doing videos covering it. SEC takes on Binance. SEC unleashes midnight massacre on Coinbase, going after exchanges, going after crypto, going after the entire space. And look at the weekly candle while this is happening for Bitcoin. I don't know when the Bitcoin bull market is going to start. I don't know when crypto bull market is going to start. But one thing that I do know is all of these things, banks falling, and I haven't even mentioned what happened in the bear market. You zoom out on the Bitcoin charts, what happened in the bear market. I'm not even mentioning that. All the collapses of the exchanges and just all of the failures that we saw in the space. Look at Bitcoin right now. So resilient with the halving coming up. I don't know. I just wanted to point that out before we even do any type of technical analysis. Bitcoin could fall, crypto could fall. We always say that. We always take note of that. But we can't ignore what is happening from a fundamental perspective. Crypto is growing, and it does not seem like it's going anywhere. In fact, the opposite. Here's the weekly chart. It is actually something that could give you chills if you really look at it, because what happened in this bear market was pretty rough. The 20-week moving average crossing below that 200-week moving average, that red line. This is not something that has previously happened. Here's that last bear market. You can just see the 20-week pivoting away from that area. So for the 20-week moving average in green to get back above, obviously the 50-week is important, but get back above that 200-week moving average, that's an extremely big deal from a macro perspective, a cycle perspective. We want to see that happen. And Bitcoin's very close to making that happen. We do need to see an extended breakout for Bitcoin, but right now, look at this weekly support at the 20 and 200 moving averages on the weekly. It's right around $26,000, $26,500. That is a very confluent support area. That's something I'll be watching for the remainder of this week. 5 days left on this Bitcoin chart. But with what has transpired in recent days, and check this 6-hour chart out. It's a perfect example of the resilience of Bitcoin right now. And crypto. 7% to the downside when we start getting this SEC news that was breaking. And just look at it. The bulls step in. There was more SEC news that actually happened sometime earlier today, obviously going after Coinbase now, and also just once again going after Binance. And so you can just see Bitcoin 7% back to the upside, just amongst all of that stuff happening. Now we go to the daily chart and we start getting some clues. Well, all right, from just purely strictly technical analysis, let's look at what's going on. And we're exactly where we've been in this grueling area of like $27,000. I mean, we've been just trading sideways for almost a month. It's a few weeks, but it's almost a month now on this daily. And you can just see at the symmetrical triangle we've been tracking, Bitcoin has just kind of hobbled along at the lower trend line of the symmetrical triangle. And so we still are going to utilize these trend lines, right? And Bitcoin is there right now once again. And it's right in between the 20-day moving average, the 50-day moving average, once again acting as this kind of lower high resistance for Bitcoin. What will Bitcoin do at this area if it can make a move there? It's like $400 away. That is right around $27,600. Can Bitcoin get there? And right now, Bitcoin being squeezed in between the 20 and 50 days at this upper trend line of that symmetrical triangle. We want to see Bitcoin break back above those trend lines. As you know, we've fallen down out of that symmetrical triangle and just kind of been sideways since, looking for that move to the upside. But in the short term, all we can do is kind of track to see which direction Bitcoin goes. You can kind of continue tracking a 6-hour chart, but for me, the daily chart seems to offer just the most guidance from a perspective of well, what are the targets, right? Well, immediate target is the $26,000 or $27,600 resistance. What happens at the area? And then to the downside, it's very simple. Is this going to continue to the downside? We've had all this resistance here. It's continued. There's no bullish confirmation other than just the fundamentals. Bitcoin hanging in there with all this SEC stuff going on. But to the downside, we still have this target in play, $24,000. That's just a target that I want to keep in mind. I want to not get ahead of ourselves and just think, hey, Bitcoin it's holding strong. Look at that bounce, even with the SEC news. We're going bullish. I want to be very careful of that. I want to monitor the current resistance that Bitcoin is at and just wait. Just wait for confirmation. Wait for a breakout because you can just see these are just lower highs, right? So we could get rejected and go lower. It's possible. It's very, very possible and in play. So that's what I'm watching on Bitcoin, but I think we can't ignore what is happening on the zoomed out charts. This is a monthly chart on Bitcoin, everybody. Look at this. Just this support right now above the 50-month moving average, a very similar type of style support that we had back here in 2018. And we continue to monitor. And also, I should just point out back here in 2015. And look at this. This was right here around 300 days before the 2016 halving. And we are under, I believe we're under, maybe right around 300 days from this next Bitcoin halving, similar support at the 50-month moving average. The charts on the macro, I don't think they could just look any better. We couldn't be any more set up than we are right now. Might need some patience. That's okay. Let's go to Cardano. So we looked at Bitcoin just kind of falling and then just retracing and recapturing all of those losses and seeing those gains right back into the $27,000 area. Cardano did not do anything like that. You can just see on a 6-hour for Cardano. It kind of fell and it never recovered, like many other cryptos actually. I just want to say we see Cardano do that. And I should say my years covering Cardano technical analysis, this is one of the things that just frustrates, I think, ADA holders. ADA does this. It has this lagging effect. It has this effect where it seems like it's just never going to do anything while maybe even other cryptos are doing something. And then all of a sudden, Cardano just comes out of nowhere and actually it just kind of blows everybody's mind. It outperforms in a way. And so those are just the moments we have to be patient for ADA to do that. Historically speaking, that's what I've seen. And you can just watch years of my YouTube video doing Cardano technical analysis. This is just kind of how it's been. It's just the way that I see things, but it really has been that way. Now, if we look at the 6-hour chart, it's just consolidating. I don't really want to focus on the 6-hour. I want to go over to the weekly and then we'll look at the daily. But what's happening on the weekly is a precise example of what I'm talking about here. You can see all of the bullish charts that we just looked at on the Bitcoin zoomed out, right? We had the Bitcoin weekly just looking bullish, above the 20, above the 200, way above the 50. You go to the Bitcoin monthly. We just looked at that, the monthly candle above the 50-month moving average. Then you go to something like ADA and you're just like, ooh, that's rough, below the 20-week moving average. And that is rough actually, because in the entire bear market, that is the area we've been just wanting to see ADA trade above, right? But I just want to point something out to you, and this is where it illustrates my point from earlier, that ADA has a lagging effect, and we have to kind of be patient with it. At least I force myself to be patient with it because this is what ADA does. We have bullish things happening on other cryptos like Bitcoin above the 20-week moving average, and ADA is below it. If you look at ADA back here, and this was right before the last bull market really started, ADA traded below the 20-week moving average for, it pretty much looks like months there. And if you look at this time frame, September, October into November 2020, below the 20-week moving average, and then you actually go to the weekly chart on Bitcoin. Let's zoom out on the weekly, and let's go back to September, October, November 2020. Bitcoin above the 20-week moving average right before that bull market. So Bitcoin really looking great back here. And at that time, if you were to chart ADA on the weekly, you would be saying, man, ADA looks like it's having trouble at that 20-week moving average. 20-week moving average on this ADA chart has always been this point of contention, but at the same time, a very key metric for bullish confirmation. meaning when ADA makes a strong move and repivots above the 20-week moving average, this is a bullish confirmation. And this is something we've been talking about a lot throughout this entire bear market. It's been the 20-week moving average as just kind of this bear market wall, this thing that ADA has not been able to get above. I talked about it so much, just, ADA getting above that area, and it has. And that's why we use the 20-week moving average as this gauge for bullish versus bearish on the macro. At least that's why I do it. So just seeing below the 20-week moving average, not something that we like to see. I don't like to ever see it, but I keep things in mind in terms of how ADA operates historically. And, I take into mind also what is happening with things like Bitcoin. What is that doing? Because that could be a leading indicator of the bullish confirmation that I'm waiting for on the Cardano charts. Now, if we go to the daily chart, this is what we're looking at. It's very simple. We're in this higher low area that could fail, right? So when I say that, we have a swing low, this bear market low, higher low, and a higher low. And if you just go to that previous swing low to the swing high, you can just see ADA is at a very significant higher low support, Fibonacci support. That 618 is around 36 cents. The 786 right around 33 cents. We can continue to trade in this range. I will continue to monitor how support holds up. I find it interesting right in between this Fibonacci is the 200-day moving average. Really, when I was watching kind of today's daily candle just play out, it was nice to see this really strong wick and a daily close above the 200-week moving average. And right now you can see actually ADA is falling below that one, right? So right now ADA is falling below the 200-week moving or the 200-day moving average. It's fallen well below the 20-week moving average. But this is what I will be watching in the short term. And definitely short term, even on the weekly. When I say short term, 5 days is short term because that move to get back above the 20-week moving average, only a move of around 7%. So we're looking at basically what Bitcoin just did today, right? Recapturing those losses. It would be ADA doing that over the course of the next 5 days. So a lot of that will depend on what direction crypto in general goes for the remainder of this week. But getting back above this 20-week moving average could be the ultimate bullish signal for ADA on these macro charts. But it's something we have to be patient with because at the end of the day, we all know if we go to this chart, we have our macro fail-safe support that is always there. And that is the swing low of the bear market to the current swing high coming out of the bear market. And it's just this larger Fibonacci around 32 cents to around 28 cents. Crypto continues to fall. This would be the next leg down that I see happening for ADA. And we're looking at could be a 10 to 20% move to the downside, testing this previous swing low back here. So maybe kind of like a midterm double bottom kind of coming off of this bear market bottom. But that's what I'll be watching for ADA. I don't really want to talk about any breakout targets to the upside because I just don't think we're there yet. I like to talk about those things when something like the 20-week moving average in green gets broken. The 50-week moving average just above that at 39 cents. ADA could turn bullish very quickly, but we have to be very, very careful because it is right now testing really big higher low support in this general range. So let's see if that holds in the short term, and we'll continue to monitor ADA. I appreciate all of you cruising by, being patient through this video. My voice, I'm kind of have a little cold right now. So thanks for watching, everybody. I really appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.